an actual good rivalry here as Kentucky and Louisville
Yes.
square off on the court. Now, if you're saying, hey, doesn't this feel early? It kind of is. Most Kentucky Louisville games in the past were always the usually December 30th or New Year's Eve. Playing a little bit earlier this time. A nice matchup here for the Kentucky Wildcats and Coach Mark Pope.
Yeah, I definitely when I saw it was this early, I was like, man, what? Like this doesn't feel right. Yeah,
Right.
I know it's getting cold down here, but I'm just not used to it being this early. I would always remember, being from the north, there's always snow on the ground when this is being played, and there is snow on the ground up north after there was a nice snowstorm last night, but. No, when you think of college basketball, you think of some of the big rivalries. Obviously, Duke, UNC comes to mind for the Big East folks. Georgetown, Syracuse, that's another big one. And I also think Kentucky, Louisville is one of the greatest in-state rivalries there is in all of college sports. And I'm sure we're going to be in for a treat here tonight. It's been nothing but Kentucky here recently in the rivalry, but I got to give props. We'll move over to the Louisville side in a minute, but while we're talking about them, got to give props to Pat Kelsey and what he's been able to do in his 1+ year there.
Right, absolutely. And I looked it up, and this is the earliest they have played in a very long time. It was always the earliest before this was December 14th, and you had December 21st. So usually either the week right before Christmas or the week right before New Year. So December 21st, the 31st, the 26th, 28th. So it's always in that area.
Because it was always like the last non-conference game before they started conference play.
Yeah, before they dive into conference play. Yeah, you're exactly right. Kind of a nice little warm-up. And I don't know all the details of the reasons why this one is right now. This one is going to be played there in Louisville. This playing at the Yum Center. Kentucky's won the last 3, though. The last 3 in a row, and 6 of the last 7 in this rivalry.
Yeah, I mean, since 2022, they've been able to win. And honestly, as you can see, 2022, 2023, they weren't close. But at the same time, that was a Louisville team that was just not competitive those 2 years. Last year, under Pat Kelsey, Mark Pope's first year at the helm at Kentucky, it was a close game. And honestly, I think that's what we have to expect tonight. It's going to be a close game. These are 2 really good basketball teams. I believe Kentucky is the best team in the nation, according to Ken Pom. And Louisville, I mean, they're starting to – what Pat Kelsey's been able to do in the transfer portal and being able – because that's just what you have to do nowadays in order to build these teams up, especially in college basketball right away. You have to go out in the portal and get the guys. But in the case of Kentucky – They went out and got the guys. Denzel Aberdeen just won the national championship with Florida last year, and he's having a big impact right away.
That's exactly right. As it relates to these 2 programs, I know Kentucky's kind of seen as the blue blood, but Louisville's had a lot of success there as well. Where do you rank this rivalry? I mean, we can go all of them.
We're talking just college basketball?
In college basketball, because this is one of those few rivalries that it does bleed over into football as well.
Right.
But obviously the basketball one's way more intense. Where do you, when you look across the college landscape, where do you rate this rivalry?
I gotta say, number 1 is easily Duke UNC.
That was my thing. Yeah. I didn't know if it eclipsed Duke UNC in your eyes. What this rivalry has become. No, but I'm with you. I don't think so.
This is tough. I would honestly, if I know Georgetown's starting to pick it up again, and Syracuse looks like they might be good, but had there not been such a long stretch where both Syracuse and Georgetown were not really good, and that rivalry was still good, I would have to say Georgetown's number 2.
Yeah.
This is number 2. This is overtaking Syracuse-Georgetown, I will say.
I agree with that.
Because the proximity to each other, the fact that it's also in-state, and both of these teams are expected to compete for the national championship last year. Yeah, it was a great turnaround year for Louisville last year, but they got bounced in the first round by Creighton.
Right.
I mean, you want to come back and you want to be able to, you want to compete, and that's definitely left a sour taste. And there's no way to, reaffirm everybody, hey, we're actually back. This wasn't just a blip on the radar. Is to go ahead and beat your number 1 rival and number 1 team in the country, according to Ken Pom in Kentucky.
Exactly right. There was another one that I had was Indiana-Purdue, but it just feels like those teams are Purdue. I mean, obviously, right now, number 1, number 2 in the polls. Indiana has felt a little up and down. Indiana's always supported basketball. Now they're one of the best in football. So I don't know if their allegiances are going in separate directions as it relates to the sports.
Yeah. And now you got me thinking about the Big Ten. I think the only other one that would compete is probably Michigan State.
Michigan State is a good one, yeah.
I mean, that used to be a big football rivalry. Obviously, the block punt was trouble with the snap, as our friend Sean McDonough liked to say. But since then, it's really been all Michigan. So.
Yeah. And some of the other ones on NCAA.com. Xavier, Cincinnati.
Oh, that
was a good one.
Yeah.
That was a good one. UCLA, USC. That's a good one as far as the brands go, the school brands. But neither one of them have been elite programs in such a long time.
UCLA hasn't really been relevant since Johnny Juzang.
Yes, exactly.
A few years ago.
Yep. BYU, Utah is number 6 on the NCAA.com site. Illinois, Missouri is at number 7. Gonzaga, St. Mary's. That's an interesting one.
Actually,
I like
yes.
that.
That's one that's really started to blow up here recently. I mean, it felt like Gonzaga was just running away with the WCC for the longest time, but now it's like St. Mary's. Hey, we're here. The Gales, they're gonna win like every year. It seems like.
Right, and they're well supported too. And I think sometimes you forget about the schools that don't have prominent football programs. You sometimes forget about them.
Sorry for interrupting you. While we're talking about the WCC, I'm pretty sure a team picked 4th to finish there just upset Xavier last night by like 20.
Yeah, that's exactly right. New Mexico State. And Penn and Princeton, that's your top 10. And then Baylor, Houston was kind of a bonus, which Baylor, Houston is interesting. It feels like both those programs have been in good spots. I just don't know about the hatred amongst themselves. I don't know if it's to the same level as obviously not Duke, North Carolina, but even close to what we see with Kentucky, Louisville.
Yeah, and honestly, I now that you've named off all of them, I still got to stick with Louisville, Kentucky.
Right.
But this is an interesting matchup for a few reasons. I mean, Kentucky coming into this year, they have the preseason SEC Player of the Year in Otega Oweh. He's been as advertised right now. But, I mean, there's a couple of guys on that team that you could argue through the early stretch that have outperformed him. But that's not a bad problem to have. But at the same time, you haven't really played anybody yet, so this is your first big test on the road. You're really we hear coaches all the time at this point of the year talk about, hey, I want to be able to see what my team is made of in these out-of-conference schedules. While you want to win this game because it's a rivalry matchup, it's big for you going into SEC play because Kentucky's supposed to win the Kentucky's supposed to win the SEC this year.
Yeah, exactly. We got a chance to hear from Mark Pope on this game against the Cards.
Yeah, it's the biggest game. You know, the nice thing for us is every game is the biggest game we've ever played, and so this is and in-state rivalry games are always fun and exciting, and so we can't wait to get to it. We got to get through the autopsy of this game and take from what we can learn, and then we'll jump into that tomorrow. But it's just a beautiful thing. I mean, everything comes so fast. We're going to be in New York a week after next, which someone told me that yesterday. I was like, wow, it seemed like it was months away. So it's just great game after great game after great game, and this is certainly a big one, just like they all are. So we'll finish up this deal and then get to that, and can't wait to get out and play.
Mark Pope did a really good job there in year one with the Cards. I know that they were, or with the Wildcats, I should say, looking for that next step going into this season. Meanwhile, you said it earlier, Pat Kelsey's done a phenomenal job there on the other baseline. And I know that the record at the beginning did not look great. However, since then.
That was before he took over.
That's correct, yeah. Before he took over at Louisville, Louisville's record was not great. But then obviously, he's really rallied the troops here, and this has been a really good turnaround season for them.
I mean, 18-2 in the ACC is nothing to sniff about. 2 years removed from winning 4 games all year.
Wow.
I mean, they won 4 games in 2022-23, and then they won 8 games the year after that. And then, 21 wins, that's just unheard of. A 21-win swing in one season.
That is nuts. That is absolutely nuts.
That's like Kurt Signetti numbers.
Yeah, exactly. Pat Kelsey hit the microphone as well talking about the matchup.
Well, obviously they're very good. You know, coaches, for the most part, put more stock in like Ken Pom rankings than they do Associated Press rankings. And Ken Pom has them the #1 team in the country for a reason. They're very talented. They're very good on both ends of the floor. They're very well coached, and it's a big challenge, and we're excited about the opportunity. Yeah, it's what makes college basketball great. We were both part of that rivalry up in Cincinnati, and it's the same thing here in this state. And from a national perspective, it's as big as it gets as well from a rivalry perspective.